recently they started promoting, some upcoming Shazam Junior books to tie in with the movie that comes out in April for the movie. They're like, for young readers with pictures from the movie inserted into the pages, for people who are like 3 or, little kids. And, a lot of the covers are very bright and colorful as you would expect from, little kids' hardcovers and paperbacks. I'm not sure if there's going to be drawn pictures inside the books too or anything like that, but I know there'll be pictures from the movie inside the books. I might actually get my nephew one of the books because his birthday is next May. Maybe, if I remember that I was going to get him that. And there's a lot of time between now and then. But that did kind of highlight and emphasize and underline to me that Shazam is going to stand out from other superhero movies, and that it's going to be the most kid-friendly superhero movie, I think, live-action superhero movie, I think, in the recent era of superhero movies. I mean, I know most superhero movies are PG, PG-13. A lot of the Marvel movies are, and a lot of people take their kids to go see them. So you could say technically most superhero movies are kid-friendly, but I think Shazam's going to be the kiddiest kid-friendly movie because, it's going to be a movie about a little boy who turns into a grown superhero, and he's going to be in a foster home with other little kids who are going to get superpowers too, probably, just like they do in the books. Or just have a supporting cast full of other little kids. So, I think DC is going to, and smartly, push up, play up that angle in the marketing campaign. And they may need to, because I think that Shazam might have some hurdles, a lot more hurdles in front of it than, Aquaman did in other DC movies. Because, for one thing, it's coming out in a crowded movie field. And I'm going to read some of the movies that are coming out in 2019 at the same time. That could give it some competition. I think it could be #1 its opening weekend, but even that might be trouble. Here in the U.S. I'll talk about international in a bit, but right now I'm focusing on the U.S. release schedule. March 8th is Captain Marvel, as everyone said, but I don't think Captain Marvel is that big of a deal because that comes out like a whole month before Shazam on April 5th, right? So Captain Marvel will have many weeks to like run its course before, Shazam opens on April 5th. So I don't think that's a problem, even though I think Shazam is the kind of movie a lot of people might take their little girls to see and little boys. I mean, I think Disney's not going to make that an R-rated movie. After that, though, March 15th is Us, which is a horror movie. But the Jordan Peele horror movie, that's going to be maybe huge. But again, that comes out like 2 or 3 weeks before Shazam. And then March 29th, the weekend before Shazam, though, is Dumbo, the live-action Dumbo remake by Disney. And that could be huge. Disney live-action remakes are popular. Although Mary Poppins wasn't, though, was it? But, this is going to be targeted at the same kind of audience, little kids and families, that, Shazam is targeting. And that comes out the weekend before. So, I don't know. Dumbo could be a problem. And then April 5th, we have Shazam. Although that same weekend, a horror movie comes out. The Pet Sematary remake from Stephen King. That's coming out the same weekend. So, horror's pretty big these days. So, Pet Sematary could prove an upset to Shazam. It would be kind of bad for Shazam to open up on its debut weekend and not be #1. So we'll see. I'm sure Warner Brothers understands that and is strategizing. The weekend after is the Hellboy remake. This is interesting because Hellboy was originally April 12th. Hellboy was originally supposed to open in January, like 11th, I think, the weekend before Glass. But I think they wanted to move Hellboy because they felt that it would be, I guess, swallowed up by Glass. Because Glass is probably going to be a huge hit, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. And I guess they didn't want Hellboy opening, alongside that. But I don't know, this April 12th release date, I don't think this is any better because the same way Shazam is sandwiched between all these other potentially big movies. April 19th is The Curse of La Llorona, which is, I think, a horror movie. And then April 26th is Avengers Endgame, right? But again, even though it's another superhero movie like Shazam, that comes out like 3 weeks after. But again, Shazam has all these other movies to compete with, which could, overlap in other categories. They're either very family-friendly, like Dumbo, or they're potentially other big movies, like Pet Sematary or Hellboy. Hellboy, I think, is going to play maybe to the same kind of audience as Shazam. But I don't know. The Hellboy trailer, it didn't exactly... Well, it did, actually. The Hellboy trailer, I think, got a lot of trending on Twitter. I think there's a curiosity factor for it. So, Shazam will probably, I'm going to say, most likely be the #1 movie its opening weekend. But the rest of the, month and thereafter might be a problem. Maybe. If Warner Brothers markets it well. There's the international release schedule, opening in China first and all that, really worked out well for Aquaman. And I'm sure, Warner Brothers is going to try... Well, maybe they won't. They could try the same thing for Shazam, and maybe they will with this competition to try to have it in some other countries first to get ahead of all that. Or they could do, you know, day and date releases they did for a lot of other DC movies, opening it across the entire world at the same time. They did that like for BVS, I think, and they've done it for some others too, but BVS is the one that sticks out the most in my mind. They might have done it, I think, for Suicide Squad too, although I could be wrong. If they do, you know, a staggered, you know, international release date for Shazam, that will help it for, you know, for the competition with these movies. But it also might help it because of the anti-DC bias that was still there for Aquaman. Remember, even though Aquaman is a huge hit right now, remember, you know, even the critics, they still have their targets on that. And Warner Brothers, I think, opened the movie in China before the US to get ahead of a lot of those biased DC critics, those biased critics that are in the United States. And these biased critics are still going to be here for Shazam. And, you know, they're already starting to, like, set their targets on Shazam. Because I think there's already been, like, a popular video on, like, Watch Mojo about the top 10 superhero movies that are going to suck. And Shazam is on there. And if you look at it, most of the movies on there are upcoming DC movies. And there's, like, no MCU movies on there. It's mostly, like, or half of it is DC movies. So, again, the anti-DC bias is continuing to rear its ugly head for a movie that doesn't even come out until, like, 3 or 4 months from now. And this is going to be a problem for Shazam. Unless Warner Brothers strategizes really well, which I have hopes that they will, because like I said, like I've mentioned before, I think in the past, they did that, they strategized this staggered release date for Aquaman, I feel, to deal with that problem. To deal with the other movies trying to compete at the same time, you know, trying to open the same weekend as Aquaman, like Mary Poppins Returns and Bumblebee. They drowned out the conversation for Mary Poppins Returns and Bumblebee with, you know, because the other countries saw Aquaman first and, you know, the buzz was generating. And then they had all these preview screenings for Aquaman to get people talking about it. So, you know, maybe they'll do the same thing for Shazam because of the huge competition. It's a different kind of competition, but competition is still there. And the anti-DC bias. A lot of these critics are already ready with their knives sharpened, I think, to tear this movie apart before they even lay eyes on it. So, you know, hopefully the family-friendly angle will be something that is able to help Shazam stand out from, you know, the horror movies and the other action movies coming out. And, you know, hopefully opening it in other countries at the different times in the US, if Warner Brothers does that, will help it too. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.